I, 45 female, live with my children, tween girls and 2 teen boys, my husband 46 and my mother-in-law 65. My mother-in-law moved in with us back in 2015 after my mother-in-law passed because she was financially struggling. My mother-in-law is not easy to live with and we struggled immensely at the beginning, but after a few years we found a way to cohabit. Then recently, 3 months ago to be exact, my parents, 68 female and male, house burned down and they moved in with us while everything was sorted out with insurance and so on. My boys share a bedroom as my parents are staying in my eldest's bedroom. My mother-in-law has struggled with this and seems to hate my mother being around. My mother has done nothing to upset her or to disturb her. In fact, my parents' bedroom is on the other side of the house. She doesn't, however, have a problem with my father and always finds a way to hang out with him. A few days ago, while I was away for work, a massive argument occurred between my mother and mother-in-law. My mother had accused her of trying to seduce my father, and there was some inappropriate text sent to my father. My father immediately showed it to my mother, and my mother responded as if she was my father to see how far mother-in-law would go, and well, she went far. Well, my mother confronted her and my mother-in-law called the police, saying she felt threatened, who then escorted my parents out of the house. This all happened while my husband was at work and the kids at school. My parents went to stay at a hotel and they explained what happened to me over the phone. When I returned, I gave my mother-in-law 2 weeks to move out. My husband thinks I'm escalating things and should forgive his mother's actions because she was lonely and confused. For your information, there's nothing wrong with her. She's in good health. So, am I the idiot for wanting her out of our house and my life? Edit. My husband hasn't seen the text and pictures his mother sent my father. He hasn't seen it because he refused to, but I think I'll have to insist because I need him to understand how nasty she's been. Also, I wanted to kick her out immediately, but my husband begged me to give him 2 weeks so he could find a place for her. And my parents, being the saints that they are, said that I should give him that. My husband has also profusely apologized to my parents, but my parents aren't upset with us and hold only my mother-in-law responsible, as it was her disgusting actions that led to this. Not the idiot. She's not confused. She's a menace. She made a false police report, which is illegal. Hubby needs to grow a backbone. It sounds like he's been prioritizing mother-in-law over you the whole time and now is even backing her illicit behavior. I don't immediately jump to divorce, but Hub's backing the woman who tried to seduce and then throw your parents out of your home. That's a statement. He drew the line, OP. I would take him up on it. Honestly, your husband can move out with mother-in-law so she's not lonely and confused. Exactly. Mother-in-law didn't just kick OP's parents out, she called the cops on them and had them removed from OP's home, which reeks of mother-in-law. She now thinks she's calling the shots in that house, and if OP's husband gets his way, she will. I'm gobsmacked at the delusion of the husband. She's lonely. Then go to bingo. Volunteer at the library. Join garden club. There are about 1 million ways an able-bodied 65-year-old woman can entertain herself and keep herself busy and engaged. One of those ways is to not put the moves on your daughter-in-law's dad. Heck, she initially moved in because of finances. Get a job. She wasn't confused about texting silver-haired intimate stuff at that poor man. She wasn't confused when she called the cops on them. She wasn't confused when she presented herself as the legal occupant of the house and had them removed. She's been there for 8 or 9 years now. She thinks she's got a position to call the shots in the home. I honestly don't know how she can stay after this stunt. I wonder what the OP's husband would say if the OP said this. It's equivalent to saying, I'm lonely at work and will try to seduce the boss. I just sent him photos of my hoo-hoo, so when HR wanted to fire me, I called the police and had them escorted out. Imagine your home being invaded for the rest of your life by an entitled monster-in-law. Nah, I jumped ship the first year. This poor OP has already put up with so much. My husband convinced me to go see his parents for a week in another state. I had 2 reasons for not wanting to. For one, I just had a baby 1.5 months ago, I have PPDs, and I'm still not up to par. I don't want to be around anyone, his mom especially, because I find it exhausting. And for 2, they have an unruly Rottweiler that they have 0 control over. He's not aggressive, but he's destructive, jumps on people and barks excessively. So I didn't want to go at all, but he assured me we would stay in a hotel and all would be well. There are only 2 hotels within a 1.5 hour radius, deep wooded area in Maine, and I reminded him and asked him several times if he booked the hotel. He said he was handling everything and to stop worrying so much. So anyways, we got to Maine last night, and lo and behold, the hotel closed its office doors at 8 p.m. It's a bed and breakfast, and the owners live in the house, and it's advertised as all doors closed by 8 p.m. right on their website, which I didn't know. We got there at 10 because he was catching up with his family. We returned to his parents' house, and they gave us the guest room. I brought the baby's bassinet, so I set that up and we went to bed. Well, their unruly dog came in the next morning and peed all over the bassinet. Luckily, my baby was not on it. So I'm damn angry and tell my husband to bring me to the hotel because I'm 2 seconds from losing my cool. I told him to shut the door when he came out, and he didn't, so it's his fault. Well, he drives me to the hotel, and lo and behold, he didn't book in advance, so there's no vacancy. He said he assumed there would be openings because of how backwoods it is. So I called the only other hotel, 1.5 hours away, and nope, they're booked too. I told him I just wanted to go home at this point, but he refused and said we could just stay with his parents. I told him, fine, but you're sleeping on the floor the entire time. I told him I wouldn't be putting our baby in that bassinet, considering we couldn't clean it without a rug cleaner that his parents didn't have. And I told him he's not sleeping in the bed with me and the baby because the bed is a double and I don't trust that one of us won't roll over on the baby, so she needs her own side of the bed. Since he's the reason we're in this position, he will make the sacrifice and sleep on the floor. Before going to bed tonight, he tried arguing that he should be able to sleep on the bed too, and that I should just sleep with the baby in my arms like I do when we have contact naps during the day. I told him that wasn't happening. 1 hour of naps is much different than a whole night's sleep, and I don't trust myself for that long to sleep with her in my arms, especially not being this exhausted. Before going to sleep, he said I was being a damn idiot and apparently punishing him for wanting to see his family and accusing me of trying to sabotage his trip. You are not the idiot. In all honesty, I have a suspicion that he purposefully didn't call ahead of time to ensure you guys had a hotel room in order to force you to stay with his parents. I would take the baby, get in the car, and go home. Seriously, co-sleeping can cause SIDS, even if the baby has its own half of the bed. It's not safe. Leave him there and get home at any cost. Travelling out of state with an infant of a mother with PPD who isn't up to it is the part where he became the idiot. The rest is just bonus idiocy. The baby hasn't even had their first shots yet, right? You should leave this man-child with his parents and go home. Uber, whatever. Go home with her baby. Lady, your husband's a moron. I don't think any of this was accidental. I think he just figured it was NBD. If you said it somewhere, you could rest and not have dog pee all over the bassinet because it's not his bed. He gets what he wants, a visit you didn't want to go on anyway. This entire visit was all about him. Him. I'm just going to suggest that the next time you don't want to do something, you just tell him no. And if he keeps nagging at you, tell him to screw right off and go stay with mommy because you're not. You're an adult, and you do not have to do something you don't want to do. And for him to even think you could just throw sheets on a bassinet and put your baby to bed is crazy. Next time, tell him to screw off and go do what he wants because you're not going to. This is just so much BS. My husband and I met in college. Before that, he dated Millie from ages 14 to 17. When I first met his family, they all seemed to be in awe of me and it was quite awkward, so he explained that his family, and most people in his life before college, believed he and Millie would be together forever. I was uncomfortable, but he assured me he loves me and only me. We had a few fights over things his friends said, but ultimately it was clear that we were being dumb. I didn't have any problems related to Millie for several years. Everyone seemed to have moved on. My husband and I now have 3 kids. My middle son, a young grammar schooler, is in the same grade as Millie's son. They're in different classes, and I only learned about this after my mother-in-law passively mentioned it. The moms in my son's class created a group chat. A couple of days ago, Millie contacted me and asked if I could add her to this group chat. She said she and her son are having trouble connecting with the other moms and kids, which would be a huge help. I was a bit confused as to why she was asking me for permission and how she got my number, but I quickly realized that the other moms probably told her and, out of consideration for me, wanted her to ask me. I'm not sure. Most of the women grew up with Millie, so they know everything. I told her I couldn't stop anyone if they wanted to add her, but I'd rather she not join. Besides, it's a class group chat and her son isn't in it. She got upset and asked if I was only saying no because of her history with my husband. I said, well, yeah. She then said I'm being sensitive and petty. I told her that I was uncomfortable. She said not everything is about me and I'm being selfish. I made a sarcastic comment about protecting my peace before firmly telling her she wouldn't change my mind and that neither she nor her son was my responsibility. Millie got even angrier and said that I was the only person still hung up over their relationship and that I needed to grow up and stop being so insecure. She also accused me of being elitist. She's still at it and will tell anyone who'll listen about how I'm being selfish and how I'm so hung up over the past. My husband thinks we're all being ridiculous. He was joking when he said that, but I don't know. One of the moms in the group chat privately asked me about the whole thing and she just said, so I don't know, but they said they weren't going to add her unless I gave my permission. Am I the idiot? You are the idiot. So to be clear, you're not going to add another married woman with a son who needs help, who reached out to you to be respectful, to a group chat because she dated your husband in high school? Why? Are you still in high school? This isn't elitism, this is pettiness at its finest. It's a class group chat, and her kid isn't in the class. An OP should have said that and stood on principle. I would never give another woman the satisfaction she gave Millie, and I'd eat a shoe before my grown butt admitted I was insecure about someone else's 3-year high school relationship. This is wild. Everyone's the idiot here. In my opinion, OP is insecure and jealous, but she is totally in the right. The group chat is for parents of students in the same class, presumably so that they can coordinate carpooling, lost and found class parties, and that sort of thing. None of this will apply to Millie. She needs to talk to parents whose kids are in the same class as her child. It's weird and intrusive that Millie is pressuring OP for permission to join. I'd be weirded out too if my spouse's ex wanted inside information on our child's school activities. You are the idiot. Not for not accepting her in the group chat, but for making a huge deal of her presence. It's kind of baffling that you would give so much importance to your husband's ex. I would understand if the breakup was new, but damn, you're married to this man and have children with him. He's moved on a long time ago, but you never did. Why does this woman still make you uncomfortable? My husband has tried convincing me several times to take the TV away from Tom so that it's fair to Anna. I've said no. My husband doesn't allow Anna to stay up past 7:30 on school nights, whereas I let Tom stay up till 9. This has also caused issues because Anna fights him every night, trying to stay up. After all, it's not fair that Tom gets to stay up. So again, my husband tries convincing me to send Tom to his room from 7:30 on so that Anna thinks he's in bed too. I've said no. My son's allowed to stay up until 9 and I'm not adjusting his schedule or limiting him to his bedroom simply because a tween doesn't think it's fair that a teen has different rules. I have adjusted other things to be fairer. Before Anna and my husband moved in, I did allow Tom to eat in his bedroom, snacks, but Anna isn't allowed to eat in a room per my husband's rules, so I did tell Tom he can't eat in his room anymore. So I have made adjustments, but I'm not changing everything to spare Anna's feelings. My husband and I have spoken to Anna and explained that Tom is older, so he has different rules, but she still throws tantrums and slams doors about it, so my husband just wants me to change everything around. It's getting annoying. Anyway, the newest issue, snow pants. My husband rented a family retreat cabin for all of us this past weekend. On Sunday night, we left Monday morning, my husband wanted to have a fire outdoors. We went outdoors and Anna started playing in the snow, so he told Anna she needed to wear snow pants because he told Tom, let's go, and we both went indoors and sat on the couch to watch TV. Well, my husband came in about 20 or 20. It's not my fault and that it's on him to nip it in the bud, not me and my child's. Edit, it wasn't like this until 6 months ago after we got 50-50 custody of Anna. Prior to the 50-50 custody, my husband only had her on weekends, and she didn't complain too often about things being fair when she was over. Not the idiot, and good for you for sticking up for your son. Your husband can parent his kid however he wants, but he doesn't seem to understand that you're allowed to do the same. It sounds like his idea of compromise is just to do everything his way. Also, Anna will always throw tantrums because he caves every time. He also threw a tantrum when he realized his wife and Tom wouldn't listen to him. Apple doesn't fall far from the tree. I wonder how long OP will put up with his whining before she kicks him to the curb. Yeah, and he's doing Anna no favors by raising her to be so entitled and obnoxious. Why couldn't Anna leave her snow pants off to turn this around since Tom could? Because that's not what your husband wanted. Rather than addressing his daughter's issues, he's forcing irrational things onto your son to get her to comply. It's time for him to man up and parent Anna rather than placate her. Huge giant red flags that he expects you to take things away from your boy just because he can't make his daughter listen to him. I would rethink staying with someone you constantly need to protect your son from.